yet another DJs BrewTube beer review. That's right, guys. You see, you got a big old 750 in front of me, so you know DJ's had a long day. It was hot and sweaty today, one of them end of summer days. So I said, you know what, Self? You need to get you a nice up-on-your-grill IPA, something nice and fresh. Well, I've done so. I've got 750 milliliters of IPA. And from whom did I acquire said IPA? I got it from Ballantine Sons. That's right. Also known as Pabst Brewing Company, who owns said brand. And what beer are we having from them today? We're having their Ballantine IPA. That's right, it's back. It was originally brewed back in 1878, and it's been 30-some years since it's been around. They killed it off in the 80s when the macro beers had totally changed the world into fizzy piss water land, and we were all suffering unless you were living in Europe and having better beer. Now, this beer, as their brewery location suggestion says, is Cold Springs, Minnesota. And is brewed at Cold Spring Brewing, which is a property of Pabst Brewing. It's a contract brewing location. They have their own beers that they brew at Cold Spring Brewing, and they also brew a bunch of other people's beers, say like 21st Amendment. They brew a bunch of hoppy beers for them. So they got their chops down with brewing hoppy beers. They know what's up with that. And historically, it's a historically, I guess, significant building because it was a brewery for a long time from the early 1800s, and it closed down in the 60s and 70s when macro world started to really take hold. Now, what about this beer? I mentioned that it was originally brewed in 1878. Well, this isn't the original version of that beer. The original version way back when was brewed, then aged up to a year in oak vats to give it character. Hell yes, that'll give it character. Then they would dry hop it, bottle it, and send it out as what they call the original American Pale Ale. So, or American India Pale Ale, if you would. Now, I would imagine back in those days, you're probably getting like a 5.5% beer, 45 IBUs, and that was a palate destroyer. And it may have been more of like on the British style of things. And that's what I could tell by reading notes. And you're saying, oh, DJ, you've been reading notes on it. Well, when the brewer, or the head brewer, that is, of Pabst, the brewmaster, as it were, decided to bring this beer back, he had no recipe to go from. They think that somebody absconded the recipes when in the 60s and 70s the Ballantine company was bought out by, I think it was Heidelman, who was later bought by Pabst, and it went by the wayside and this beer died out, you know, and was eventually changed into a different thing. So he had to go through trial and error, word of mouth from people who drank the beer, and it was a real development process. And it's what this beer is the modern day take on the original Ballantine IPA classic. So this beer clocks in at 7.2% ABV and 70 IBUs. It's not aged in oak for up to a year, but when they brew it, they do brew it with American oak chips, 8 different kind of hops, and 4 different kind of malts. Now, like I said, this is the 21st century take on that beer, and I'm real interested to see how it is now, and maybe how it's changed over time, and what their take of a IPA is in the modern day. So, let's see what Pabst has got to offer us. Now, one thing, there's a bottle date clearly here on the bottle. This is well under a month old. It's probably about 2.5 weeks old, as a matter of fact, when I'm drinking this, and that means it's super fresh. And if Pabst can put a date right on the side of the bottle, learn up, guys, because guess what, craft brewers? They're coming at you with some IPA now. The macros are tired of losing ground, it sounds like. So, let's see how this tastes. Boom, get the top pop. Boom, nice hiss off the top. Ooh, plenty of smoke coming off the top of that bottle. Got plenty of brew here tonight. Ooh, nice color. Get in here. Looks super clear, pouring out like stone beers are super clear IPA wise. Yeah, we got plenty to pour in there, don't we? Hell yes. All right, now what do we got? We got a mildly hazy orange color. Now that may be from the hop oil that they finish it with. I mentioned they use 8 different kind of hops. Well, they also finish it off with hop oil at the end of the production. We got 2 fingers ahead, maybe a finger and 3/4, super tight packed bubbles, only a little bit sudsy up at the top when I swirl it. Getting plenty of clingy glass lacing already, and mucho alcohol legs. But take a look at that beer, guys. That's a really nice looking brew. So, let's get an aroma on that and see what's up in the nose department. But I can smell it from here. Citrusy as heck. Citrusy, herbal, grassy, a bit of dankness in there, but a lot of orange and tangerine like citrus peel. Nice pine dankness is where the dankness is coming from. Herbal hops in the background, and then a solid malt background, a little biscuity and caramel. But it's definitely hop forward, and it's citrus hop and pine hop forward with herbal playing in the background, and then you got plenty of biscuity malt coming in after that playing in the background. Man, really nice smelling beer. I'm ready to take a taste of this. It's been a long day. I'm diving in, guys. Cheers. Wow, nice. First thing I'm impressed with, it's got nice mouthfeel. It's medium. It's not super full body, but it's quite coating. The first hit you get some pine bitterness. Then after that, citrus peel. And in the middle, you get a bit of herbal hop, and then some biscuity malt comes in. There's a lot of balance in this beer. This isn't a California IPA. It's an East Coast IPA, which makes sense because originally Ballantine was made on the East Coast, and it was a more balanced beer, and it was probably more British IPA, you know, or English IPA back in the day when it was its original state. I don't really get a whole lot from the oak in there. I'm not getting it on the nose, really. I've got this at 50 degrees. I think I can get everything out of it. Maybe a little bit of like a grapefruit zest in the back end. It's a semi-dry finish. As I drink it, you can get a little bit of the like tannic oak in there, but I'm not really getting any vanilla or anything like that. And I take another sniff on the aroma there. I'm not getting in that. I just wanted to check, but there's no alcohol in the taste. There's no alcohol in the aroma. It's totally hidden in both places. Super easy to drink. And I think it would accompany well with a lot of food. It's a really well-made East Coast style IPA. It's a modern take, I imagine, on the original. I don't know how bitter the original was. I never got to drink that, whether it was in the 80s or whatever. I wasn't of legal drinking age or anywhere close to it back in the 80s, so I can't speak to that. But I can speak to this beer. It's really easy drinking. It tastes that it was made with care. And since they made it in their smaller operation, kind of the Cold Spring Brewing, you know, I'm sure eventually, you know, it may go into a bigger brewery, but the smaller brewery that's making hoppy beers like for 21st Amendment and guys like that on a daily basis, they got their chops down with this. Let me get another taste here before we give you a final verdict. You know, as you drink it more, you can get a little more, you can get a slight bit of that oak character and a really slight bit of, like, say, vanilla notes in the background, but it's very faint. But it has a nice, like, medium bitter back end because there's enough biscuity sort of malt taste in there and caramel that makes you come back for more. But it's bitter enough that you know it's a well-made IPA and meets that expectation. So you hear I'm kind of geeking out and enjoying this one. Rate Beer has no grade on this. It's too new. It's been out on the market like days at this point. Beer Advocate is giving it a 90. That's an A-. And there was a pretty decent amount of ratings on there. I myself, I'm going to go for I think I'm going to go for a high A- on this. I'm going to give it nearly an A, a 94. Maybe if I drink it more and it appeals to me more, but it's just a really well-made beer. And this bomber was $6.99 for 750 mils. So that's pretty damn cheap. That's getting into Lagunitas territory. This beer, in a lot of ways, reminds me of the value that Lagunitas brings in taste. It's a really well-made beer, solid beer that I would drink again, and it's eventually going to be sold in 6-packs. This is just for like the launch, I would assume, 750s, and I'm sure that it'll eventually appear in cans because the facility that makes it, if they're making 21st Amendment beer, obviously cans beer. So I'm giving it an A-, nearly an A. Really tasty beer, really well made. Is it like the original? Who knows, and who cares, because nobody knows what it tastes like except for some stuff I read, and people said it wasn't exactly like the original, but it tingled their beer memory. And if it's been 30 years since you drank this beer, how the hell do you remember unless you drank a boatload of it? So, anyways, first, I gotta thank all you guys for watching, rating, commenting, subscribing, and hit that like button because that freaking rocks. And it also rocks when you think globally, drink locally, and support the, I guess this is kind of the macro craft beer movement, or macro beer movement wanting to be more like the craft beer movement. I don't know, but this is a tasty, really well-made single IPA. It's not a mind-blower by any sense of the imagination. You've drank beers probably that taste like this, but I think it's really good, and it's good value for the dollar, for sure, and it's just tasty. You can tell there was no skimping done when they made this beer. So, till the next DJs BrewTube, I got nothing but bunch of kicking back and going to finish my beer love for you, and you know what's coming. That's right, a big sound!